Before we get started with this one, I feel like there's gonna be something everyone's gonna point me to. My older Season 19 reviews from 2016. I'm sorry, have any of you ever actually properly watched those old reviews? No, of course you haven't. The music is too loud, most of the jokes don't work, some points and problems I had came up with were just whiny nitpicks, and I misunderstood certain things the episodes were saying. I'm glad I gave up with those reviews halfway through the season, because one of those reviews gave me a copyright strike, but two, nobody liked them because I was either whining or praising episodes that may not have deserved more than half of it for all I know. And just like with my old special reviews, my opinions on these episodes have changed over time, so I'm going into this season as a better reviewer. Hopefully. So anyways, Season 19. It's easy to see that certain things have changed, and in some cases, improved since the last season. The most noticeable one of these improvements is the animation. This is the best CGI animation in the entire fucking show. Absolutely no one will disagree. There is more complex lighting, shadows, and shading in dark settings. They added in a blur effect to movement. The different types of weather and types of day look genuine. There are so many extraordinary camera movements and angles. There are massive amounts of detail on everything upon closer inspection. The walls, the floors, the fields, metal, stone, snow, the engine's faces, the engine's running boards, the engine's boilers. Spencer looks as if he is actually silver because of the amount of reflection details. And the water. Just look at this water. It looks like the real thing. ARC Productions really outdid themselves this time. It almost looks as high quality as a mainstream animated movie. Almost. Another big change was with the voice cast. In the UK dub, Ben Small had left the show, and now Thomas and Toby are voiced by John Hassler and Rob Rackstraw respectively. They also gave Percy a new voice actor, Nigel Pilkington, because his US counterpart left the show because it's the same actor. I really love these new voices. I'm really surprised they didn't bring Rob Rackstraw into the show a lot sooner, since Hit Entertainment knows him so well. But he does do a really good voice for Toby.
Sorry to leave you, Henrietta, but the Fat Controller wants me to take Scrap to the scrapyard now. I'll be back as soon as I can.
John Hassler and Nigel Pilkington are the best voices for Thomas and Percy ever. They both deliver great emotions, great energy, but best of all, they actually sound young. They may have been in their 40s at the time, but their performances really do make them sound like young engines. It's amazing.
Oh, Diesel is about as helpful as a chocolate firebox.
Blistering buffers! My firebox has gone out! I'm stuck. Oh.
Now then, about the episodes. The ones this season feel a bit different compared to the previous two seasons. There's at least 4 things that I have noticed. 1. Some of the stories or things that happen in them seem a bit simple, like delivering sheep to a fair but they escape, searching for a missing Christmas crate, a competitive task on delivering fans to a football match, trying to get the Duke and Duchess to Callan Castle, and etc. 2. There seem to be a lot of scenes that have no narration or dialogue from the engines, where there is a montage or a suspenseful scene where we can only hear the music and the sound effects, and just making us watch the animation on display. These are nice little moments that give ourselves a little break from what's going on. 3. Half of the Fat Controller's appearances involve him being comedic relief. I'm not a fan of this that much. The big, stern authority of the whole railway is used as a comedic punching bag sometimes. The other half of his appearances does see him as the authority type he should be, like in No Help at All, Thomas the Babysitter, the Philip episodes, and Who's Jeffrey, but most of the time we see him ripping his trousers, getting chased by a bull, slipping around on an ice rink, and giving himself a black eye with a paddleball. Twice. And 4, 2/3 of the episodes feature Thomas as the lead character. This is very different to, say, season 18, where there are some episodes where Thomas doesn't even make an appearance. At all. Not even as a background cameo. There are episodes centered on other characters, like Henry, Percy, Cranky, Diesel, Victor and Kevin, Oliver and Toad, Den and Dot, the rescue team, Salty, Spencer, Bill, Ben and Timothy, Emily and Caitlin. But most of the time, it's Thomas, along with Annie and Clarabelle. Now, I know what you're thinking. Didn't you complain that Thomas hogged the screen all the time in the Sharon Miller era? Aren't you cross that Thomas is a star-billing bastard again? Nope, not this time. Quite the contrary, actually. Here's the thing. The reason this was a bad thing in the Miller era was because Thomas was an unlikable character. His personality was downgraded majorly. He was more childish, more unreliable, and he kept making the same mistakes over and over again. That was one of the bigger reasons the Miller era was a chore to watch. But here, I love Thomas now. He is way more likable and sympathetic here than he ever was back then. He is kind, he's helpful, he does his jobs well, he has a good sense of humor, and in episodes like Lost Property and Thomas the Babysitter, he goes out of his way to help other people and isn't thinking about himself. There are some below average to bad episodes this season, like Who's Jeffrey, The Beast of Sodor, The Truth About Toby, Helping Hero, Reds vs. Blues, Rocky Rescue, and my least favourite, Henry Spots Trouble. Just, what even is this?
Hello, Henry!
Spots! And chickens! Engines do get chicken pox!
But there are, fairly, a lot of great episodes, which include Lost Property, Snow Place Like Home, Toad and the Whale, Den and Dart, Slow Steven, Two Wheels Good, Best Engine Ever, the Philip episode, Goodbye Fat Controller, Diesel's Ghostly Christmas, and my favourite, Thomas the Babysitter. But then there are episodes like A Cranky Christmas and Salty All at Sea, where I honestly don't know if these episodes are good or bad. I mean, I know that he didn't want to get told off by the Fat Controller, but I don't think Cranky would worriedly hide the box. He would leave it where it is and complain about the ship that made him jump. And I know that he came to Sodor via the Vickerstown Bridge, and working at Dockside all his life gave him wild imaginations of the sea. But why wasn't he honest about his ship voyages at the end? It's a bit of a sour mood to make. These new episodes are getting harder and harder to review because there is so much that I need to keep in mind. The characters' personalities, their personalities in previous episodes, their personalities in previous seasons, the morals, the continuity, the dialogue. You know, being honest about all this stuff is really hard. Strangely, there aren't any returning characters this season. Unless you count Lord Callan, but hell, none of the new characters from The Adventure Begins, Glyn, Judy and Jerome, appear in this season either. Which is weird. Instead, we only get the one new character, Philip, the diesel box cab. I've heard a lot of people don't like Philip that much, but honestly, I think he's pretty enjoyable. He's lively, energetic, eager to make a good impression, and he always has a positive behavior, even when bigger engines don't take very kindly to him. And after watching The Adventure Begins, it's a clear indication that Philip is in Thomas's shoes from that special, and Thomas is in Edward's role of the one who shows him the ropes. I really love that. It shows you how much Thomas has changed since that time period. But here's something about the season that confuses me and frustrates me at the same time. It's the fact that they released Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure, which takes place after season 19, when not even 5 episodes from 19 were even released. Why did they sell this on DVD so early? When they did this, it made us all think that season 19 would be containing the elements introduced from that special, like the new characters and locations and things. But 95% of season 19 has nothing to do with Lost Treasure. So why did they do it? And it's not like these episodes were made before the special's production began. James mentions Osborough in Best Engine Ever.
You can be my back engine tomorrow. I'm heading up the coast to Alsborough.
There's a blink or you'll miss it. Accidental cameo from Daisy in Thomas the Babysitter. And then there's the episode Goodbye Fat Controller as a whole. I've always had this theory that this episode takes place after Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. Remember the scene in the climax where the Fat Controller locked the treasure chest up in the safe? Sailor John used dynamite to blow the safe open. I thought that it would make more sense for the painters to redecorate his office then, when there's a large black soot mark where the dynamite exploded. If the painters redecorated the office before Lost Treasure, then they would have to paint the wall all over again. It would be a waste, wouldn't it? It is possible that these episodes were produced after Lost Treasure's production, because these 3 episodes are some of the last ones produced for the season. But it can't be foreshadowing for future events because of Mattel's weird release schedule. What were they doing? And finally, as always, the music. This is actually the final season to have music composed by Robin Harnshorn and his son Peter. His music for the past 10 seasons have been mostly hit or miss, but he ended his contracted role on the show on a really good note. Some of the background music this season is really nice. Some examples include Very Important Sheep, Rocky Rescue, and Thomas the Babysitter. In The Other Side of the Mountain, there's a subtle usage of Bertie's Season 1 theme. And hell, in No Help at All, they actually add in a cover of the classic Mike and Jr. song, Down by the Docks.
Down by the docks, that is the place to be. Down by the docks, the gateway to the sea. Down by the dockside, down by the dockside, down by the dockside is where we want to be.
Why the hell didn't they do this in other episodes, after or even before this one? This is so nice. And the vocals? Well, we got a new remix of the roll call theme song from season 8. It's a really nice remix. It's much catchier, so it's obviously better than the other one. And I do like that they finally put in Arc Productions' animation in the video footage, instead of just reusing the footage from the Nitrogen era. There's No Place Like Home. Not the episode, the song is pretty nice. It's sung pretty good, it's got a nice Christmassy feeling to it, and there is this bit.
Snow is falling, there's a chill in the air. Christmas songs are heard everywhere.
It's getting worse every year.
Let's Go is decent-ish. It's not really that bad, but there is a lot of instrumental bits, and the lyrics are just bland. But the instrumentals themselves sound pretty good, and I like that the music is on beat with Thomas's puffing. And Race With You is not my glass of squash. It's just bland, forgettable, reuses a lot of visuals, and is clearly just trying to cash in on a certain gimmick for a certain DVD release. So overall, season 19 is enjoyable enough. It's not on the same level as season 17, but it's not really as good as 18 either. But this is still a really good season. Some things like Thomas's inclusion in every story, the Fat Controller's comedic relief shtick, and some episodes in general might turn a few heads, but they made up for it with some really nice episodes, enjoyable music, amazing animation, lovable new voices, funny dialogue.
I need you to go to Farmer McCall's farm and collect his new spring lambs and ewes.
Me, sir?
No, ewes.
And the fact that they were still taking risks with new elements, like the first ever double-length episode released as a 2-part episode. Now then, next season, it will be the absolute peak of CGI Thomas. I can't wait.